You're listening to the Weekend Sport Podcast with Jason Pine from News Talk ZB.
Let's get to James McOnie. Your European Tiki tour is continuing. Where do we find you today?
I'm on the northern tip of Denmark, visiting some Great Danes, some old friends of mine who I met when I was on my OE in Maidstone, south of London in Kent. So all those years ago, me and the Danes formed a pretty strong bond over mainly Jim Carrey movies. That was where we we basically decided, okay, we're going to be friends for life.
All right. Well, did you and your friends for life from Denmark get in front of a TV to watch the All Blacks at all?
Yes, I managed to fire up the laptop and watch the test, which possibly is it an instant classic? I mean, it's hard to say when the All Blacks lose that's the case, but I think it might be.
Yeah, terrific test match, yeah. And look, most of the feedback we've had today on the show has been about the last sort of 10 to 15 minutes, the yellow card to offer to Ugafasi and the way the Springboks took advantage and sort of rolled over the top. What are your main takeaways, if I can use that cliche?
One is I feel like the Springboks are going to lift a gear between World Cup years now. They used to phone it in every now and then and probably leave a few of their big stars untroubled until they really needed them in that, sort of 9 months before cycle, so that was the way they played it. But now it just feels that intensity lift. We've got something that rivals really state of origin intensity now. And I mean, we've had Springbok tests like that, but they're not always like that. So if this is what is going to happen, then I think I'm all for it, because I think it's going to breathe life into rugby. Second thing is you could see Tony Brown's handprints all over that Springboks team, some of those innovative moves off a line out. There was just a real sort of Brown-esque kind of vibe to the way they play the game and attacked wholeheartedly with the ball in hand near the end. And my third takeaway is probably that the bomb squad works, and why have we not tried to copy it? If you're bringing Etzebeth, Steenkamp, Vincent Koch, Quaka Smith, Malcolm Marks off the bench, and they are doing the damage, are we really stuck in an old style of thinking, which is a bench that just plugs every gap? And are we not thinking enough about impact, rather just more about cover?
Well, it's interesting because last weekend, 2 weekends ago, the last test New Zealand played Eden Park against Argentina, they did bring on 5 at the same time, but it's a very different match situation. They were well clear by then. It was almost like, okay, let's empty the bench and give some guys some minutes. Do we need to embrace more, even though we sort of tend to say, yes, it's now a 23-man game, should we now actually believe that it is a 23-man game?
That's the difference, I think. I don't think we've quite understood what Rassi has been doing all these years, which is basically sending people on to win games and, tooth and nail. However, doesn't matter how it looks, they're going on to finish the job. Whereas I think the All Blacks feel that if they get everything right and the processes are good and the strike moves work, they'll be in an untouchable situation with 15 minutes to go. But that's not Test rugby, really, and that's why I feel like Rassi is the master. And to be honest, the most impressive bomb squad member for me was Elric Lowe. He made a run from a kickoff. Did you see that?
Yes,
where he just beat about 3 or 4 players, and I was like, oh, this guy, 24 years old, 6'5" loose forward. Okay, South Africa, we get it. And there's talent there as well at 10 and 15, I think, which that we haven't seen before, that could be, could actually take them through to more World Cups. That's the danger.
Yeah, indeed. Well, look forward to seeing how the All Blacks regroup ahead of Cape Town a week from now. Other bits and pieces floating around today. Chris Wood got another goal. That's 71 in the Premier League now, more than Eric Cantona. He's starting to get up into rarefied air.
Chris Wood, yes. Cantona. He going past Eric Cantona is crazy for me, but the one thing that I think Kiwis need to appreciate with Chris Wood is that if Nottingham Forest avoid relegation, it'll be because of Chris Wood and no other player. And I don't think you can say more about Chris Wood in the sense that, seeing somebody put an entire team, an entire club, famous club, European Cup winning club, on his shoulders is just something to behold, really. And I think that's going to be his, his calling card for years, is the guy who could just make things happen for the battler. And look, it was he's a big unit. It was a headed goal and on target and just exactly where he needed to be. And I always look at Chris Wood and just go, there's, that type of player has been, outdated for some time now. But the fact that he's that important and starts games for a big Premier League club like that, it just shows he actually is worth every penny. And I'm glad that we've got someone who's a proper, superstar of the game.
Now, speaking of pennies or whatever currency you're dealing in right now, did you put any of it on Lydia Co last week? We spoke last week. She was 3 rounds in and sort of within striking distance at the Open Championship at the old course at St Andrews. Did you get any of your, I don't know, what's the Danish currency? Did you put any on?
Any krona?
Yeah.
Look, this is the thing, Piney. I was talking her up, and even when I interviewed her at the Paris Olympics before she played, I had a feeling, I just thought, the way she's speaking, it sounds like she's going to win the whole shebang. And I mean, I didn't bet on her then when she was probably playing $41 or something like that. And then, like a muppet, when we were talking last weekend, again, talking Lydia Co up, she's in a great position. Nelly Corder will be worried about her breathing down her neck. Sure enough, Lydia Co gets up. Look, I don't know what the word is for regretting not making bets. I'm sure there's a German word for it, like stupid betten vergessen or something like that. Yes. But that's what I'm feeling right now. Is I'm happy for Lydia Co, but why didn't I listen to my inner sports pundit, punter, which goes, that Lydia Co just looks to be in good form and just seems to have the weight of the world off her shoulders.
Indeed. Hey, just before you go, Bunnings NPC continuing over here. You would have noticed that Auckland are 4 from 4, but not in a good way. They've lost all of their games. Have you sort of been keeping up with it? And as an out-of-the-box thinker, any more thoughts on attracting crowds back to NPC?
This is the thing that worries me, Piney. I'm missing home a little bit, even though I do love the Danes and their various cheeses and pastries. I still tune in for a bit of Bunnings NPC, and just seeing the lack of crowds is fairly sad. I mean, what can you do to revive that? How can you get people back watching rugby? I don't think the rugby is enough, clearly. The marketing side of it, I'm sure they've thrown lots of money at it. Look, I've always felt that it needs to be another event as well down there at a rugby ground, whether it's a farmer's market or, some vintage merch, which everyone seems to go crazy for these days, or whatever kind of event that you want to host. Maybe throw in, after ray gun at the Olympics and breakdancing, it could be whatever you want to do. They need to think outside of the box because it's pretty chronic right now, Piney, and I'm sure even your beloved Wellington Lions are struggling. Yeah,
indeed they are. Well, they've taken games to Porirua Park where, look, excuse me, I don't mind it. I quite like the smaller grounds. I know it doesn't increase the size of the crowd, but it certainly, I guess, makes it look a lot better. And actually, it's more of a feel. If you're that close to the ground or to the players at a ground like Porirua Park compared to Sky Stadium, then all the better as far as the experience is concerned, as far from what I can see. Anyway, we're swiftly running out of time, so should we bid each other? How do you say goodbye in Danish?
Well, you say farvel and vi ses, which is I'll see you later. So farvel, vi ses.
And same to you, James. Same to you. Enjoy yourself in Denmark, and we'll chat to you again next week.
For more from Weekend Sport with Jason Pine, listen live to News Talk ZB weekends from midday or follow the podcast on iHeartRadio.